Hi, I'm Siobhán Fletcher, one of the journalists up at Manx Radio, and welcome to this latest edition of our newscast. This week is Carers Week, an annual campaign aimed at highlighting the challenges that carers face. This year's theme is Putting Carers on the Map, which aims to make caring more visible, ensuring that people feel seen and respected, and that they can access the services and support that they need. Manx charity Crossroads is hosting a number of events to mark the week for the around 10,000 carers based here. I sat down with Chief Executive Jackie Bettridge, who said more needs to be done to support that invisible army, who she says are the backbone of our health and social care system. Here's that conversation in full. Can you tell me a bit about the theme and what we're expecting then from Crossroads this year?
OK, so putting carers on the map is obvious. I mean, that is what we're going to do. It's about the celebration of carers here on the island. We did a piece of research at the end of 2022, and it tells us there's about 10,000 carers on the island that we know of. There will be more than that. They are, I think, perhaps the invisible army, and are quite often overlooked. Yet they are the backbone of our health and social care system on the island, and they need to be celebrated.
And I think you're right there. That's a common theme, really, of carers. You know, they're kind of doing other stuff for the family and supporting maybe a family member or maybe a friend, kind of unsung heroes in a way. And that number of 10,000, at least 10,000, relative to our population is quite high. Do you have any indication on what the more realistic number might be, or is it just...
Well, excitingly, we run the survey that actually informs the piece of research every 2 years. So it's about to come round again. So September 24, we'll be doing it again. For each time we do it, we find out more and more information, and far more people are giving of themselves to allow us to do that. I think for me, yes, you've got those carers that might be doing a little bit of something, but we literally have probably got about 10,000 people's lives who have been changed and will be changed for the foreseeable. And I don't think there's enough understood, about where they fit into the system, who they are they recognised? And as we only have a tiny population, I mean, 86,000 is not a lot of people, it's time that we really stepped up to the mark and not just celebrated, but also recognised carers.
And some of the challenges they face then. So kind of what are some of the things that people maybe get in touch with Crossroads about, or what are some of the things that you help people with?
Oh, all sorts of things. So we run services to give respite. That's really important to a carer. At the moment, there is a lack of carers assessments, but that is being addressed. Going forward, that is being addressed. We're in talks with Manx Care and the Department of Health and Social Care about what that will look like. But people's lives are actually changed. So we've got, you're going to have cohorts of people who have had to give up work. We're going to have cohorts of people who thought they were going into retirement, and actually it's not what they thought was going to end up at the end of them, having worked 40 years of their lives. We will have babies born today that will be, disabled. We will have many, many things. People today, right at this minute, will be being given diagnosis of something that is going to be life-changing. And we need to get our heads around what that means to us as an island, what it means to the health and care system. We've got the new organisation, Manx Care, and how do we all work side by side? Because at the moment, the emphasis is always on the patient and on the service user. But without carers, those patient service users would not be in the good place that they are now. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate all those selfless people that actually are quite happily or not happily looking after their loved ones, because that's what is expected. That is what society dictates. Or you've obviously got people who love doing it, but you've also got cohorts of people who don't love doing it, and it's just ended up being their lot. And that kind of isn't fair. We have to turn that around. We have to recognise carers. So workplaces need to recognise carers. The health and care system need to recognise carers. Schools need to recognise young carers. There is a whole cohort out there of people that are holding up and being the support of people that would otherwise need health and social care elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. And so then to mark the week, what are Crossroads doing?
Okay, so to mark the week, it's quite exciting. So we've got the place we're going to do it is at our new Tynwald shop. It's just coming up to a year old on the 4th of July, Star Wars Day. It's just going to a year old. And it's a shop downstairs, but upstairs we've got community space. There's a coffee shop up there, and it's a brilliant place to just come and meet. And people in the area, that's how they use it. So we're actually going to do most of it from there, and we are going to share a lot of the statistics from that report that we did in 2022, answer questions on it, get everybody's mindset ready to do the next one, because we need people to come on board to do that. Even ex-carers, we just need people to come on board to do that. On the Tuesday, we're having a drop-in centre, and we run a listening service. So our listening service is a service that is there for carers should they have hit problems. Maybe it is in the delivery of care, maybe it's where they're at, any mental health problems. All of that is around carers. So we're going to have a whole drop-in day and have the team there do that. On the Wednesday, we're actually having a celebration of young carers. Young carers are amazing. They are literally amazing. And perhaps not recognised as they should be. You know, we talk about look after children, we talk about disabled children. We're not very good at talking about young carers. And young carers are amazing kids that have to probably put up with a lot in life. On the Thursday, we're doing a drop-in centre. So we're going to have lots of our services there to see what people need, what they might need going forward. On the Friday, we're doing a celebration of our own services. So the adult services are doing an afternoon tea for the cared for and their carers.
Okay.
Because most carers can't abandon their cared for, and that's misunderstood as well. On the Saturday, we're going to do a fundraiser because we think it's important that everybody knows Crossroads is actually a charity. On Sunday, we're going to have a day of rest, and then we've got a couple of things we're going to spill over into the following week. So we're going to be a bit cheeky, and we're going to do a week and a couple of days.
A week and a couple of days. Week with some change.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So then, you know, and people can all get involved, and we'll sort of list all those events as it happens. And I'm sure we'll speak to you close to the time as well. You mentioned as well that the survey that you ran in 2022, we're coming up to that again in September. If people are listening and maybe they weren't involved last time but would want to contribute to that, are they best to check your website later in the year? How will they get in touch?
Right, so we will advertise it. We'll advertise it, on social media. We'll do it through yourselves. We will make sure that everybody knows. And there'll be various ways of doing it, because this time the Department of Health and Social Care are going to do it with us, which is great, you know, because that is, it's a massive change to get a government department to come on board and go, actually, yes, we need to recognise carers. Hopefully later in the year, we've also done an association with them, a carer strategy that will be launched. So the whole year is going to be about carers and carers' needs, wants, aspirations, and finding out who these people are and what they actually need. So there's something very strange about caring. It is not in a moment of time. It's a bit like if you've been given a diagnosis that isn't going to get better, so it'll only get worse. People forget that carers get older. They could become ill themselves. You know, we have death, divorce, accidents, all sorts of things happen in somebody's life. And we tend to think of that in isolation. And it's time we didn't. It's time we actually looked as a whole island at, you know, this expression putting people first. But we're all people. We all have rights, and we all have needs, and we all have wants and wishes. And for most of us, we can make sure that they are contained and don't go, you know, to ask for something ridiculous. But I think caring 24/7 is a really tough call.
And it's interesting what you said as well about the sort of, we as a society in a way put the focus on the ill person or the person who needs the care. Are you hopeful that when that strategy is announced, when it comes out, that we'll see steps in place then like fairly soon to help support the carers, like the people sort of behind the curtain that are kind of doing all the legwork, really.
Yeah, well, Crossroads is working with over 500 families, put in hundreds of thousands of hours of care every year, and our go-to is about the carer first. So my automatic reaction is, if somebody has got a diagnosis, somebody's had a heart attack, whatever, I would always ask their loved one how they were before I'd go, how are they? But that's just comes naturally to me because on the whole, they're being dealt with. You know, we have a really good medical society on the island, and it is a society. It's not just about Manx care. It's bigger than that. And I think for me, it's, if it happens to you, you want, as the carer, or potentially going to be the carer, you want the very best for your loved one. But the patient and service user is being looked after elsewhere, and you are completely forgotten in the story. And we need to reverse that. We need to turn that around.
Yeah, perfect. I couldn't put it any better than that myself. Is there anything else you want to add at all?
No, but please, I think just for me, all I want to say is that please, people, get on board, because we're all either going to end up being a carer or we're going to be the cared for. And that's not a threat, by the way. That is actual fact.
Yeah.
Just as the same as being born and dying. It is a fact. That is what happens. And I think unless we start to look at it now, it's going to come as a mighty shock going forward.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.